Hello everyone, welcome to CuteCarTV where we look at all the fun stuff. Today is more of a day where I'll do the podcast. So this is a new podcast series that I was thinking to do because we have the videos on CuteCarTV, and as well I also want to introduce the podcast series, so it's actually more easier for me to do the videos for you folks for stuff like this, you see, for education purposes and financial stuff and all these taxes and stuff like that. So all this kind of information is a bit difficult to do it in a video, so I have started to create this podcast series where you can hear me explain about stuff like this, so I don't have to do all the footage, all the b-roll, all the video capturing with the camera and everything. So it's much easier. So we keep this podcast series. This is the first podcast series on CuteCarTV, and then for other stuff, maybe there's other topics that we want to talk about for cars and everything else. We have another series. We have another podcast, number 2, 3, 4, 5, stuff like that. But I want to start this podcast series with this thing, Malaysia Roadtax, which is outdated and redundant in 2025, and the reasons how it can be revamped and improved. So in this podcast series, which is also a video, but I'll just be talking about it, we go through the slides about why and how we can improve it, and as well as what are the steps to make it better, for everyone, not just myself, not just for you, the viewer itself, but for everyone in Malaysia that can benefit from the changes and the improvements that it can give. So I created the slides here. Pretty simple. It took me quite a while to think about what are the problems, issues, and also the solutions, how it can be solved. So we're going to go into this podcast right now in a few minutes, and if you want to see the series of all the podcasts, I'll put another playlist on CuteCarTV. There's a playlist of all the different types of videos and different categories and stuff. Just go into the podcast playlist and you can see all the podcasts, which I will link all of those into that group of videos or podcasts which I've already made. So we carry on with this why Malaysia's road tax is outdated and redundant in 2025. So let's go. As you can see, the pictures down here, explainable, but I will go to the next slide. The first one is the history. So before we want to talk about road tax, we're going to know the history about it. The history of road tax in Malaysia. Its official name is Motor Vehicle License. It was created back in when the Roadtax Act in 1987, which is the Act 323, was in place at that time. And prior to this road tax, which was introduced in the Roadtax Act 1987, it was actually called the Road Ordinance 1958 and Traffic Enactment 1937 at the time. At the time, Malaysia wasn't in Merdeka yet, so Malaysia was called Malaya, where some of the states were ruled by the British, and some were other states in Malaysia which were not ruled by the British, were ruled by the Malay rulers at the time. So that's a little bit of the background of the past about this country, Malaysia, and its road tax system in the past and whatever happened in the past. There's a little bit of information about the past. Next, road tax. What is its function? What is its purpose, right? So to educate yourself a little bit, it's all about revenue generation, a source of monetary income for the government that is collected into a consolidated fund like a tabung. Okay, it is used with this money that they collect. It is used for development, maintenance, and improvement of Malaysia's national infrastructure and public transport systems. Okay, so Malaysia's national infrastructure is like the roads, the flyovers, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. The national collection is 5.0 billion ringgit Malaysia, or 1.21 billion US dollars of taxpayers' money collected in 2023. Okay, that's just 2 years ago. They collected 5.0 billion ringgit from road tax, which all of you folks are paying for your Myvi, your Pro2, your Proton, your whatever car you drive, your motorbike, whatever. Okay, they collected 5 billion ringgit. Okay, next. Regulation was it for as well? It's also for regulation and control, which you know, JPJ and then stuff like that. And then vehicle identification and monitoring, also JPJ as well. Prerequisite for insurance. So now you want to renew your road tax, you have to have insurance. So that's one of the reasons why road tax is there. It's as a option to. It's not like an option. It's like you have to have the insurance before you renew your road tax. So that's a prerequisite. This is actually new, prerequisite for insurance. Before it wasn't like that. You can have your insurance. If you didn't have insurance, you can renew your road tax. Last time, long time ago. But now they make it that you have to have insurance so that you can renew your road tax. This is something new. I think less than a decade it started. Next slide. Criteria of road tax for cars. Okay. As you know, cars, the most simple car in Malaysia would be this Perdua Kancil EX660. I mean, back in the day, this was the car that everybody used to learn how to drive. And this is the car that all my friends learned how to drive, a manual Kancil E660. So, folks, if you're just watching this, remember those back in the days, 20 years ago, this was the car that, all of us back in the day used to drive. Right? Nothing fancy, just a car with 4 wheels and an engine and a gearbox and brakes. So, we're going to continue. What are the calculations for this kind of tax for this car? For example, very simple. Okay, we can right back to the big basics. Okay, back to the basics. Okay, no fancy stuff in this video, in this podcast. Back to the basics. All right. So, what are the criteria to collect road tax? And these are the criteria that they use to collect and how to calculate all the tax that you pay. So, the engine capacity, cc, right? This is the number one. Number two, flat rate up to 1,600 cc. So it's a flat rate to 1,600, and it's a progressive rate anything exceeding 1,600. For the calculation, go and Google it. What are the rates? Vehicle type. There's a saloon car, non-saloon car. Non-saloon cars are MPVs and also SUVs. And then you have the motorcycles. You have the trucks and the buses. Okay? So truckers out there, you get taxed too, and the buses also get taxed as well. But their rates are different, so go Google that. Location, Peninsular Malaysia, Selangor KL. Most of you folks are here in Malaysia. Usually you're going to be in Selangor KL or whatever. And then the different rates are for Sabah and Sarawak, Labuan, and Langkawi. For those who don't know, Labuan and Langkawi have the cheapest tax. Cheapest tax. Really cheap. So if you want to buy special nice cars, go and buy them in Labuan and Langkawi because you pay a cheap road tax. Just a tip. By the way, ownership type, you have a private and commercial. So if private owned, your tax is lower, much cheaper. And commercially, you have to pay because you're running a business, you're having a lot of profit, so you have to pay more tax. Simple, to the point. Vehicle age, you have a normal road tax, which is for cars below 25 years old. And then you have this above 25 years old, which is for the classic cars. And you have the vintage cars which are 50 years old. So if, for example, you have an old 1920s Mustang or a Mercedes from 1905 or something like that, or some kind of vintage car that your granddad or grandfather had long time ago, and it's a special car that is part of the family, that's the car we are talking about, vintage cars. Okay, these cars, they get road tax as well, but they are much more affordable. Go and check the rates online, Google them. Fuel type, petrol, diesel, LPG gas. LPG gas are used in all the taxis. Okay, back in the day, that LPG gas, a lot of taxis drive them around. We have the solar car as well. Very rare in Malaysia, maybe in Germany there is, but in Malaysia there were some solar cars I've seen before, one or few. And then we have the hydrogen cars, like from this is a new technology, hydrogen cars, and the electric cars, which are the EVs. EV road tax, if you don't know, I've done a video about it. Go and look at that, the EV road tax for 2026. Go and have a look at that. And there's a lot of information on Google. You can Google that about the road tax for electric cars. We move on. So, why must road tax be revamped? And the reasons. The reasons is clear here. If you can see the photographs right here, we have the lorry on the right here. We have a pothole, and we have a congested road packed with a lot of cars. And this is one of the reasons. If you know already what I'm talking about, can you get the idea? What is it? All right, let's go to the point. The amount of road tax paid is unfair to those who drive their cars on the weekends only. For example, those senior elderly who seldom drive their cars. So when you get old, you don't drive, your son drive, your daughter drive for you, or your family member or your relative, or maybe you're rich enough, you're wealthy, you have your driver who will drive you around and bring you places without you having to drive and start the car. Or those people who are like maybe some people around there who are very have plenty of time for themselves, and they also don't have to drive all the time. So for example, you're a business owner who is established, and also people who are working freelance, or you're a person who work part-time, or you're people who are entrepreneurs, business people who are successful, and people who are successful in life, and you don't really have to work 9 to 5, and you don't have to work like everybody else, right? And you don't have to drive every day too, right? Maybe you just drive over the weekend, or probably you're just you're a husband or a housewife, right? And you don't really need to drive all the time, right? Maybe you don't have kids, so you're just a housewife with one car, and your husband provides all the money for you every single month, because in Malaysia there's nafkah and stuff like that. So the husband provide for the wife, and the wife don't have to drive, right? Because you don't have kids, you're not going to drive to school anyway, and you seldom drive. So these are the type of people who are in this category. The next category of people is those who are use the road so much, right, that it actually creates a kind of like a burden to the roads. So let me explain how it is. The sole purpose of road tax is to maintain the roads, improve infrastructure and development, as we see in the previous slide. But the ones who are wearing out the road and cause road wear and tear, and this actually accumulates the wear and tear accumulates to creating potholes, and the roads are not in good condition, right? Are those drivers who use the road for daily commute. For those you folks who drive every day in the morning, 8 o'clock a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 5 a.m., you wake up in the morning, you go drive to KL, Selangor, you folks that use the road daily. Also the heavy vehicles, the lorries, the trucks, you go and look at the highway, SKVE, full of lorries. You look at Kesas Highway, full of lorries. You look at Federal Highway, full of lorries. You look at Sungai Besi Highway, also a lot of lorries. So these lorries, they are not light cars. These are machines which are carrying a lot of weight. The machine itself, the vehicle itself, a lorry itself can weigh tons and tons of weight. Okay, and they're driving these roads they're driving on the roads almost every day, because they're working, they're carrying all the commodity from the Klang port to the shops, to the retail, to the warehouse. So they're using up all the roads all the time. Plus, these heavy vehicles, which are the buses, the trucks, they may not be as many compared to the cars on the road. And if you want to know, there are more millions of cars on the road every single day that are heavier than 1.5 tons. So imagine the burden of the roads that we have, right? And these are the cars that are wearing out the roads every single year, right? And the government doesn't have enough money, to repair all the roads. So there's so many roads in Malaysia, right? In order to make all those roads safe and not having any potholes, and they're supposed to be good quality roads, not those broken up roads, And you see the roads, some of them are just patched roads, okay? And those people who use the roads are those people that I've explained here, daily commuters who use their cars to use the road every day. And this is the problem, okay? You wear out the roads, all right? And all the money you collect in tax, and then you go to fix the roads, it's not enough. So there must be a solution to make it fair, right? To ensure that it's fair for everybody, and for those people who don't use the road, don't have to pay as much as those who use the road. It's not fair lah, right? Right? If you use the road more, you pay more lah. If you use less, you don't pay more lah, right now. So this is the point. But then again, why I have to explain this, the reasons why, because a lot of people will say like, oh, you know what, this is unfair. But I'm going to tell you why it's fair and has to be revamped. So the solution to revamp the road tax to ensure fairness to all, these are the steps to improve. If you can see the picture here, look, this beautiful road. Look at this. This is how road should look like. Okay? In KL, Selangor, this is how the road should look like. In any other state, Kelantan, Terengganu, you look at this. This is how the road should look like. This is how it's taken care of. And this photograph here, a good example of a road that is taken care of well. You see all the road, you see, painted properly, the car park, everything, all the signboard, everything, street light, everything is there. Why? Because they have a good management system. They are able to take care, and people are responsible when they use their road. So let's go on to the next reason why. So to improve this road tax thing, there's many points here. I'm just going to explain why, and why the government has to also think about this, how to improve the road tax and make it more fair, and not just calculating it based on the CC as how they do it today, how they do it today. They got to calculate it based on these criteria to make sure that the people who pay for the road tax is fair and justified why they should pay road tax. So here's the point. Calculation of road tax should be based on, these are for cars only, okay? The motorbikes, I don't have no problem because they are light vehicles. There are not many motorbikes on the road. Even if there are more cars anyway. There are not a lot of buses, there are not a lot of trucks on the road. So I'm not so worried about it. But the cars, of course, the lorries and the buses, this is a different story. I will not touch on that for now because those are a minority kind of example, although they kind of use up the roads more than the cars. But I think the burden on the road is more on the cars rather than the lorries, as we can see, because the lorries, they don't really use the road as much. They only use it at certain times of the day, whereas cars, they use it 24 hours a day. Okay, so get me, understand that for a second. Okay, you gotta understand the big picture of this reason. So the point here is the weight of the vehicle. I think tax should be calculated based on the weight of the vehicle. So if it's less than 1 ton, 1.5 tons, 2 tons, 3 tons. As you can see, a BMW, right? A BMW X5, X6, it weighs a lot. It's almost 2 tons, right? With all the EV cars that are coming out now, those batteries are so heavy. For example, you go and drive the BMW, the i7 with the big battery, or you go and drive the, the Mercedes-Benz EQS 500, that thing almost weighs 2.5 tons, more than 3 tons if a lot of people in the car. 3 tons for a car. Just imagine the amount of weight that car carries, right? So road tax should be calculated based on the weight of the vehicle, size of the vehicle and dimensions. 3 feet long, 4 feet long, 6 feet long. Imagine the traffic jam. You have cars that are 6 feet long, like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the Jaguar XJL. These kind of cars super long. And 4 feet, 3 feet. These cars very long, okay? Next one is carbon emissions. So as you know, a lot of people are using their cars to go everywhere, and all this carbon dioxide that is released into the atmosphere, it actually tears away the ozone layer and makes Malaysia hotter, a hotter country we live in. And by doing so, we are switching our air conditioner on. We are switching our air conditioner on in the car more, and we are creating this ozone layer to be depleted because of the carbon dioxide, because of the things that we do to destroy Mother Nature itself, right? So carbon emissions should be taken care of because there's a lot of cars on the road, and carbon dioxide is created every day, and it's destroying the layer that protects us from the heat and the UV rays of the sun, and UV rays of the sun can cause cancer. And there's a lot of reasons why carbon dioxide is bad for the environment, and also for people and for all the other creatures, not just humans, also for the animals, for the insects, for the biodiversity. You got to think about all these things as well. You want to live in harmony with all the other creatures, the animals, the insects, and everything. You got to think about them too, right? So as a human being, don't be so selfish and think about your cars. You want to drive a nice car to work and stuff like that, but also think about the biodiversity, the nature, and everything, and you know, the carbon dioxide that your car makes, right? And also the carbon dioxide that the factories make, the batteries for the EV cars. Those also have a lot of carbon emission as well. So you got to think about this thing, right? Next, usage of the vehicle. The road tax has to be calculated based on weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, yearly. As of now, they only do it 6 months and 1 year road tax calculation of if you want to pay road tax 6 months or 1 year. But I think to encourage people to pay their road tax even more with a less value, they should also introduce weekly, bi-weekly for those people who don't drive a lot. They have a car, they have a Myvi or they have whatever car they have, and they don't drive a lot, right? So whenever they want to drive, they can pay their road tax. Everything online these days. You just pay, and automatically it just you pay road tax and then you're done, right? Right? You pay your tax and then you're done. You can drive on the road, right? So I think the government should make it easy for everybody, whether you go to the counter and pay your tax or you go do it online. So make it flexible for people to pay their road tax. This is very important so that everybody can contribute, to this whole responsibility. Next thing would be the age of the vehicle, which is new cars. New cars, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. As if you all know, 30 years and above is all vintage cars and grandfather cars and grandmother cars, which are part of the family. Old stuff, but they're vintage cars. Next, how does these solutions help? And the reasons why what I just said helps the environment and helps all of you folks out there. So here are the points. Okay, provides an equal distribution of responsibility to the road users who use the roads for daily commuting, work, and travel. Just think about that again. Provides an equal distribution of responsibility to the road users who use the roads for daily commuting, work, and travel. Now think about that. If you're a minister in the transport administration in Malaysia, you think about this. Equal distribution of responsibility to road users who use the roads for daily commuting, work, and travel. So we share. We use the roads over the country. We share, right? Because anybody can drive a car, can go to Johor, can go to Ipoh, can go to Penang, and then after that can go to Kedah and drive all the way to KL, But they're using the road all over the country, right? So a distribution of equal distribution of responsibility is a very important thing. And I think, everybody should understand this, okay? Second point, improves road tax collection, and as more people will have the flexibility. The key word here is flexibility to pay their road tax. So as I said, different intervals, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, yearly. It helps people to pay their tax, right? This also helps to create more revenue for the government so they can manage this thing. Fix the roads, better street lights, and stuff like that. Next point, encourages and educates people of the importance of good quality roads. When I say good quality, not the pothole one, not the cheap stuff. If you know, I've asked a few developers how much they cost to build a road. It's not cheap. So if you want to build a good road will last 10 years, 20 years, the material that they use is not those cheap asphalt and stuff like that. No, you got to buy those expensive ones. They will last a long time. Okay? So when I'm talking about good quality roads, it's the good quality roads. You look at the roads that are used in San Francisco, in New York, you see the roads. I've been to America and I've seen the roads that they have in America. And the roads in America are way nicer than the roads we have in Malaysia. What material they use is high quality, top quality materials that they build the roads on. So that's what good quality roads I'm talking about, okay? High quality infrastructure, not those cheap ones, high quality infrastructure. You go and look at the infrastructure they use in Singapore, the bridges that they build in Singapore. You look at all the infrastructure they use in Singapore. Those are good quality infrastructure. Public safety, as always, public safety. We all know about what it's all about. And cleaner environment. Like I said, the carbon emissions, the exhaust, a lot of mud rampant here, and then a lot of people here with their very noisy exhaust. It's okay to have noisy exhaust and all, but if you are contributing to the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, that is not clean. It can be a little bit noisy, you're fine, but make sure you're clean, right? So think about it for a second. Like, would you like a cleaner environment, cleaner air to breathe? You know, if you live in Switzerland, you know how. If you've been to Switzerland, you know how clean the air is. You know, you can breathe clean air without all the carbon dioxide, all this, monoxide, all the, all these chemicals in the air, which create your air to breathe is more dirty. So a cleaner environment also needs. If you live next to the highway, you will have a lot of combustion gases from the cars and vehicles that you know will actually make your air not as clean to breathe. So think about the cleaner environment. Also, by making a flexible, this improves the tax collection stuff what I said just now. Also increase the amount of jobs for people who can clean the roads, cut the trees, cut the bushes, clean the drains, change the light bulbs. There are jobs for people who will do it, right? And there are people on the ground that some people, when you're driving, you don't realize them, but they're actually working, to clean up your roads, to clean up your drains, to cut the bushes, tepi jalan there next to the roadside, to change the light bulb so that at night you drive, there's a light bulb so the street is not dark, and many, many, many things as well. So these people were hired by the government to do this hard labor job, all right? But they have to be paid, right? So who's paying them that money? It's from your money that you pay for the tax that you pay for road tax. Those people are being paid with that money. It doesn't matter wherever lah, if you're paying tax, the tax money, the money is allocated to pay the people who are working for those kind of jobs. So you got to think about that. Next, the love towards the country. So when you're educated about all this, then you have a sense of love to the country you're living in, right? Would you not love a country? When you understand the reason why you're paying the taxes, because you love to live in good roads, have good roads in your neighborhood, in your state, in your country, right? And also, when you pay tax, you're also contributing to the responsibility to ensure that the roads are good, safe to drive, and quality, and clean and hygienic. So you have that sense of love. So think about that a little bit, okay? A lot of people don't think about it, but you have to think about the love towards your country. If you love your country, you don't mind spending a little bit more so that people can take care of the place and don't mess it up, right? So take care of the place, so pay a little bit more, and make sure those people who are taking care and managing things do their job by you paying a little bit more so they can take care of the country, and you, because you love it, but you cannot, you're not going to go out there and clean up the road, right? So pay a little bit extra so people can take care of it for you and create jobs. So this is all, all it's all integrated, So I'm just explaining it. Next one is ensuring a fair road tax system to all levels of society. P40, M30, T20, T10, T5, T1, T0, okay? Wherever you are, whoever you are, while maintaining a balanced, the keyword here is balanced road tax collection system. Now, in the automotive industry, there's a lot of road tax kind of, calculations here for the supercars, the hypercars, the Bugatti Veyron, the Mustang, the Rolls Royce, the Proton Myvi, and the Proton Kelisa, we saw just now, the Kelisa EX660, right? But we want to create a balanced road tax collection system. So it's fair for everybody, right? So with the new introduction of the new criteria of collection of the road tax, it's more fair, it's a balanced road tax collection system, which I think people will be more happy to pay their road tax. And more people will pay road tax because it is more flexible, as I said here, the second point up here. See? So that's much, much better. The last point here is opening up the automotive market. As you know, automotive market has always been Proton Perdua, and that's about it, right? And I think the whole system has been, you know, cannibalized because every other player out there who wants to sell a car might have to pay more tax and excise tax and stuff like that, which is a different story. But then again, you want to open up the automotive market, right, to ensure more people get the flexibility to choose any car brand or model they want. You could buy a Proton EMA 7, or you could buy, you know, a Kancil, Kancil EX660, right? Or you could buy a Rolls Royce, or you could buy a Bugatti Chiron, or you could buy anything you want. But with the new road tax collection system, people still pay tax, but it's a more justified, refined, and balanced road tax collection system where it opens up the market of the automotive sector, where people then more brands can come in, more people can be more competitive, right? And people can choose the cars that they want. It's fair. As you know now, right? If you want to buy a Rolls Royce, you're paying what, 25,000, 16,000, 25,000? It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense. You know, McLaren, you know, Altura, you know, you're paying maybe not a lot, right? But you don't drive the car all the time, right? Just once, maybe twice, right? And there's also people who I know driving the the Aston Martin V12, right? How much tax do they pay, right? How many times you drive that car? Tell me you drive it 10 times a month. No, right? So to justify the system, to make it fair for everybody, those who use the road more, you pay more. Those who use the road less, you pay less, right? And there are so many forms of tax, so we want to make this road tax kind of fair, equal, and balanced. So that is the point. And the last thing is, the road tax does not become a burden to all. Meaning that those people who can afford the Rolls Royce doesn't seem to feel that the road tax is a burden to them. In fact, it encouraged them, because the road tax is a much more affordable, encouraged them to buy 2 Rolls Royce, right? And you know the government, right? They have lots of forms of tax, so government also get more money because of excise tax, because of other forms of tax, and the responsibility is more, so people will pay more tax in other forms of tax. So overall, with this revamp of the road tax, which I propose here, encourages people, the road tax system, to be more fair and just and balanced for all levels of society. And I think it also contributes to the cleaner environment, better infrastructure, and also quality, good quality roads, more jobs, and the love towards the country, which is Malaysia, that we all live in. And for those, my viewers who are subscribers from other countries, also take these points for your own country as well, because this helps your country to be as great. Make Malaysia great again, make your country great again. So these are the points, right? So that's what it is, folks. And this is the reasons why we need a better, revamped road tax system, because the generation in the past, our fathers in the baby boomers generation, 1960s, those days are over, folks. Okay, we are living in 2025, and now we have the EV road tax system, which is a totally different story. And then the ones for the petrol and the diesel cars, they need to be revamped to be fair. So I hope this information, it becomes, this knowledge becomes, beneficial to whoever is watching, and you just take this information, think about it. How would it make your life much better, and how will it be more fair for everyone? And I think it's really, really important for you all to understand that this is a very important thing, right? And it's fair and just to everyone. The more time you spend your time on the road using it, the more tax you pay. If you use it less, you pay less. And I think all the criteria is at the back of the slides. Go back and watch the slides at the back. The part when I was talking about it, go back and watch it. If you have missed it or you want to see the points, go back. Okay. So I think that's all for today's long first podcast on CuteCarTV. And yeah, if you want a nicer, more cleaner environment like this photograph here, and for preserving the future for the future generation as well, not just for us who are living in the world today, but we also want to preserve the world, the beautiful world we have for the future generation, to ensure that everyone in the world gets to enjoy it as well, as much as all of us do, right? No matter what car you drive, fast or slow, whatever. But responsibility is very important, so I think equal responsibility is very important, and all the points I mentioned just now. So we come to the end of the podcast today, and if you like this content, give it a like, subscribe to the channel CuteCarTV, and as always, I will make more podcasts in the future when there is a new topic. Okay, and if you want to watch this podcast, you like it, please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or stuff like that, or you want any kind of topics you want me to do a podcast about. Write it down in the comments, and I will see you all the next fun video, podcast video, which is not a lot of video lah, but it's more talking about it. So just have a look at it. Right. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and I'll see you all in the next fun video. Yeah. Again, as I said, thank you for watching.